Some folks say, get the BBL. Well, then that becomes an image of perfection. Then they say no BBLs. Then everyone wants to be thin again. It's all over the place.
Weight is not the sole determinant of one's health.
First time in U.S. history, women weren't interested in looking curvy.
We are out there chasing these versions of perfection that are being projected onto us.
We do have control. Any good doctor should not be just prescribing this medication and forgetting about the patient.
Hollywood just performed the most dramatic makeover you've ever seen, and it happened practically overnight. For over a decade, curves were everything. The bigger, the better. Brazilian butt lifts dominated cosmetic surgery charts, and the Kardashians built empires on hourglass figures that seemed impossible to achieve naturally. But somewhere around 2022, everything changed. Walk any red carpet today, scroll through any celebrity Instagram, and you'll see something shocking. The curves have vanished, ultra-slim bodies are back with a vengeance, and everyone's whispering the same question. Did Ozempic do this? This isn't just another fashion cycle. This is a seismic shift powered by a diabetes medication that became Hollywood's worst-kept secret. From Kim Kardashian's dramatic slim down to Ariana Grande's concerning appearance at the Wicked premiere, celebrities are shrinking before our eyes. The BBL era that defined the 2010s is crumbling, replaced by what insiders are calling the ballet body, or worse, the return of heroin chic. And the transformation is sparking one of the biggest controversies in modern beauty culture. Because when an entire industry pivots this fast, millions of people get caught in the crossfire. The story begins in 2014, when Kim Kardashian's infamous Paper magazine cover literally broke the internet. That image of her bare, enhanced backside wasn't just provocative, it was a declaration. Curves were no longer something to hide or minimize, they were power, they were wealth. They were the new American beauty standard, and the Kardashian-Jenner clan had the blueprint. The impact was immediate and measurable. According to the International Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery, BBL procedures grew by 77.6% since 2015. By the peak of the trend, over 600,000 BBLs were being performed worldwide each year. That's a staggering jump from just 14,000 a decade earlier. The United States alone saw over 150,000 procedures in 2023. Miami became the unofficial BBL capital of America, with estimates suggesting the city performed 15,000 to 18,000 butt lifts annually. Entire medical districts catered to this single procedure. But the Kardashians weren't working alone. Nicki Minaj, who underwent her BBL in 2010, became an icon of the aesthetic. Her curves were impossible to ignore, featured prominently in music videos and red carpet appearances. Cardi B followed in 2016, openly discussing how the surgery helped her feel empowered. Jennifer Lopez, whether natural or enhanced, became the gold standard for the curvy physique women wanted to replicate. Even Madonna, in her 60s, was rumored to have joined the BBL club. The BBL era represented something bigger than cosmetic surgery. It challenged decades of Western beauty standards that had glorified thinness above all else. Suddenly, curves that had been marginalized, particularly those on Black and Latino women, were being celebrated. Kim Kardashian launched Skims, a shapewear line built entirely around creating that BBL silhouette for women who couldn't or wouldn't go under the knife. Fitness influencers sold workout plans promising to build curves naturally, though everyone knew the real shortcut. The message was clear. Flat was out and thick was in. But there was a dark undercurrent beneath all the glamour. BBLs have one of the highest mortality rates of any cosmetic procedure. Surgeons repeatedly warned that the fat grafting technique could prove fatal if not performed correctly, with death rates as high as 1 in 3,000. Women were literally risking their lives for this look. Yet the demand kept growing, fueled by social media validation and celebrity worship. The danger was real, but the desire for that Kardashian body was stronger. Then everything changed. The catalyst wasn't a new fashion trend or a celebrity endorsement of natural beauty. It was a medication. Ozempic, containing the active ingredient semaglutide, was originally developed to treat type 2 diabetes by regulating blood sugar levels. But doctors and patients quickly noticed something else. People were losing weight, not just a few pounds. We're talking dramatic, rapid transformations that would typically take years of strict dieting and intense exercise. The drug works by mimicking a natural hormone that stimulates insulin production and creates feelings of fullness, effectively suppressing appetite. For people struggling with obesity, it was genuinely life-changing. But Hollywood saw something different. They saw a shortcut. They saw the ability to drop 20, 30, even 50 pounds in a matter of months without breaking a sweat or counting a single calorie. And once a few celebrities started using it, the floodgates opened. The transformation began subtly around 2022, but by 2024, it was undeniable. Kim Kardashian's dramatic weight loss sparked widespread speculation about Ozempic use, though she has never confirmed it. But the evidence was right there in every paparazzi photo and red carpet appearance. Kim, who had built an empire on her curves, was suddenly slim. Not just slim, skinny. Recent photos show Kim and sister Khloe with significantly slimmer physiques and more proportionate waist-to-butt ratios, fueling rumors they've had their alleged BBL procedures reversed. TikTokers made side-by-side comparison videos showing the Kardashians' dramatic before and after transformations. Some celebrated the change, calling it a natural evolution. Others felt betrayed, pointing out the hypocrisy of women who'd profited from promoting curves now abandoning them entirely. The phrase reverse BBL started trending. Google searches for the term skyrocketed by over 5,000% in just 12 months. Something massive was happening in real time. What made this shift different from past beauty trends was its accessibility, at least for those with money. Unlike a BBL, which required surgery, recovery time, and visible scars, Ozempic was just a weekly injection. No downtime. No explaining your absence on social media. Just steady, consistent weight loss that you could pass off as clean eating and Pilates. For celebrities desperate to maintain their relevance and their figures, it was the perfect solution. And because it was technically a medication, it came with a veneer of medical legitimacy that cosmetic surgery never had. Unlike the secretive nature of early BBL procedures, several celebrities eventually broke their silence about using weight loss drugs.
You have a weight problem and you've tried everything, and then somebody says, take this injection.
Right.
And you're going to be skinny.
Sharon Osbourne was among the first to admit using Ozempic, starting in December 2022. Her transparency shocked people, but her story was even more alarming. She lost 42 pounds in 4 months, what she described as too much, and now weighs just 98 pounds, struggling to gain weight back. Even after stopping the medication, Sharon couldn't reverse the effects. Her husband Ozzy reportedly told her he was scared something was going to happen to her. This wasn't a success story. This was a warning. Lizzo, who once said, "I like being fat," revealed in 2025 that she tried everything, including Ozempic for her weight loss journey, ultimately losing 16% of her body fat. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Lizzo had been one of the most prominent voices in the body positivity movement, celebrating her size and encouraging others to do the same. Her admission felt like a betrayal to some fans, though others understood the immense pressure she faced in an industry that never truly embraced larger bodies, despite the rhetoric. Kelly Clarkson confirmed using a weight loss medication, though not specifically Ozempic.
Everybody thinks it's Ozempic. It's not. It's something else. But it's something that aids in helping break down the sugar. Obviously, my body doesn't do it.
After losing a significant amount of weight, telling critics everybody thinks it's Ozempic. It's not. The defensiveness in her response revealed something important. Ozempic had become controversial. What started as Hollywood's secret weapon had turned into a source of shame. Kathy Bates used a combination approach, losing 80 pounds through diet and exercise over 7 years, then an additional 20 pounds with Ozempic. Her story highlighted how even those who'd done the work the traditional way were turning to medication for that final push. Then there were the transformations that sparked genuine concern. Ariana Grande's appearance during the Wicked press tour sent shockwaves through social media. Critics noted her hollow cheeks and sunken eyes, with some breaking their usual silence about celebrity bodies to express alarm. Reports described her figure as resembling someone severely malnourished. Grande had previously addressed speculation about her weight, claiming she was never healthier, but the public wasn't buying it. The question everyone was asking, how could cutting out alcohol and eating more vegetables create such a dramatic transformation? Cynthia Erivo, Grande's Wicked co-star, faced similar scrutiny. The former gym enthusiast who once celebrated being strong and muscular now appeared significantly thinner. The contrast between her previous physique and her current frame was stark enough to fuel endless speculation about what had changed. And it wasn't just women facing this scrutiny. Timothée Chalamet's naturally thin frame had become part of his brand, though reports suggested he had to gain 20 pounds to play Bob Dylan because he was even thinner than the notoriously skinny musician. The normalization of extreme thinness was happening across the board. Oprah Winfrey, who'd spent decades publicly struggling with her weight and serving on Weight Watchers board, finally admitted she was using weight loss medication. Her confession came with a revelation that stunned many. She realized thin people simply don't think about food all the time. For Oprah, the medication had broken a cycle that decades of dieting couldn't touch. She stepped down from Weight Watchers shortly after, and the company's stock plummeted. Even Whoopi Goldberg, after reaching 300 pounds, openly discussed using Mounjaro, and now appears dramatically slimmer. Social media dubbed her a walking billboard for the drug. The shift isn't just about individual celebrities, it's a cultural reversal. The ultra-thin, popularized in the 1990s by models like Kate Moss and tragically epitomized by Gia Karangi, has made a dramatic comeback. This look, characterized by pale skin, dark circles under the eyes, and extremely thin frames, directly opposes the body positivity movement that dominated the late 2010s. The term heroin chic itself is disturbing, named for the way people struggling with substance issues often appear: gaunt, hollow-eyed, dangerously thin. When it first emerged in the 90s, it sparked massive controversy. Critics argued it glamorized substance issues and eating. President Clinton even spoke out against it. But fashion has a short memory and an appetite for extremes. By 2022, the aesthetic was creeping back into mainstream culture, rebranded with softer terms like ballet body or clean girl aesthetic. The ballet body trend emphasizes lean-toned, elongated forms reminiscent of classical dancers, focusing on length rather than bulk. It sounds healthier than heroin chic, more aspirational. But look at the images fashion magazines are promoting, and you'll see the same protruding collarbones, the same visible rib cages, the same concerning thinness. The rebrand is just marketing. The ideal is the same, as thin as possible. Fashion runways told the story in numbers. By spring and summer 2025 fashion shows, a staggering 94.9% of looks were worn by models sized US 0 to 4. Plus size representation had dropped to just 0.8%. By autumn and winter shows, plus size models made up just 0.3% of runway appearances, while mid-size models decreased to a mere 2%. The diversity that brands had claimed to embrace was vanishing. The message was clear: thin was back and everything else was out. Celebrities like Bella Hadid became the poster children for this new ideal. Reports suggested her weight had dropped from 140 to 120 pounds, and her transformation sparked widespread discussion about the return of size 0 beauty standards. Fashion commentators noted that online praise of her thin figure represented a worrying regression. But the praise kept coming. Magazine covers featured her angular frame. Designers fought to dress her. The industry had made its choice. But rapid weight loss comes with consequences Hollywood didn't anticipate. Cosmetic dermatologist Dr. Simon Arian, who treats Kardashian clientele, coined a term for what he was seeing: Ozempic body. The description was blunt: saggy skin and deflated buttocks that result from dropping weight too quickly. When someone loses 30 or 40 pounds in a few months, their skin doesn't have time to adapt. The result is a deflated appearance that no amount of contouring can hide. Then there's Ozempic Face. Plastic surgeons started noticing a pattern among their patients. People would come in thrilled about their weight loss, but devastated about what had happened to their faces: the hollowed cheeks, the sunken temples, the deep lines that seem to appear overnight. When you lose significant facial fat rapidly, especially if you're over 40, you don't look younger and refreshed. You look gaunt. You look sick. You look, as some doctors put it, like you've aged a decade in months. Sharon Osbourne's experience illustrated the potential dangers. Despite stopping Ozempic, she remains unable to gain weight. She's publicly stated she doesn't know what the medication did to her metabolism, but she simply can't put any pounds back on. Even her husband expressed fear, telling her he's scared something terrible is going to happen. This wasn't supposed to be permanent. The drug was supposed to be a tool, not a life sentence. But for Sharon and others, the effects seem irreversible. The medical community is scrambling to address these side effects. Dermal filler usage has doubled since 2017, with much of the increase attributed to people trying to restore volume lost through rapid weight loss. Facelift procedures jumped 8% from 2022 to 2023. Some patients are spending tens of thousands of dollars on multiple procedures to fix the damage from their weight loss journey. One patient reportedly spent $80,000 on successive surgeries to restore her figure after using the medication. Injectable fillers became the go-to solution for Ozempic Face. Doctors were filling temples, cheeks, and under-eye areas to recreate the volume that had vanished. But it wasn't just faces that needed work. Body contouring procedures surged as people sought to address loose skin on their arms, thighs, and stomachs. Radiofrequency treatments to tighten skin became standard follow-ups to weight loss. The irony was impossible to ignore. People were taking Ozempic to avoid invasive procedures, then ending up in surgery anyway to fix what the drug had done. The situation created a paradox of modern beauty. Take medication to lose weight and achieve the ideal body, then spend thousands fixing the side effects of that medication. It's a cycle that benefits the medical and beauty industries while leaving patients caught in an expensive, never-ending loop of interventions. Some clinics now offer complete Ozempic makeover packages. The drug plus all the corrective procedures you'll inevitably need. As the skinny trend gained momentum, celebrities who'd embraced BBLs started seeking reversals. SZA publicly admitted in 2024 that getting her BBL in 2022 was a mistake, telling British Vogue she regrets the procedure. Her honesty was refreshing in an industry built on maintaining illusions, but it also highlighted something disturbing. People were making permanent surgical decisions based on what was trendy, only to regret them when trends shifted. Reports emerged that Kim Kardashian had undergone BBL reduction, acknowledging the procedure brought pain and wasn't worth the trouble. The woman who'd arguably launched the entire BBL craze was backing away from it. The symbolism was powerful. If Kim Kardashian no longer wanted the body she'd made famous, what did that say about the millions of women who'd gone under the knife to look like her? Some women were taking extreme measures to avoid additional procedures. A Miami resident quoted in fashion publications revealed her strategy: intense cardio and strict dieting. She didn't want to risk another surgery with potential complications and irregular contours. So instead, she was essentially trying to undo years of working toward curves by working equally hard to eliminate them. The physical and mental toll of this constant transformation was staggering. The BBL industry itself was experiencing a reckoning. Demand dropped noticeably in 2023 and 2024. Some surgeons pivoted to offering subtle enhancements instead of the dramatic augmentations that had defined the previous decade. TikTok became ground zero for the skinny revival. Hashtags like Skinny Talk accumulated billions of views, creating echo chambers that normalized extreme thinness. The platform's influence was particularly concerning given its demographic. Mental health experts link these trends directly to increased rates of anxiety, depression. The combination of pharmaceutical weight loss aids and social media validation created what researchers described as a perfect storm for eating development. Kids were seeing celebrities shrink in real time, watching influencers celebrate restriction, and absorbing the message that thinner was always better. Model and activist Charlie Howard, who'd been dropped by her agency for being too big, despite wearing a UK size 6 to 8, issued a stark warning. She believed we were on the cusp of seeing chic return in full force. She noted that high street advertisements were as worrying as social media thinspiration content because they reached different audiences with the same harmful message. Deliberately hiring models who appeared unwell was deeply disturbing, and it was happening with increasing frequency. The normalization of extreme thinness was accelerating at a pace previous generations hadn't experienced. One concerned search about weight loss could spiral into an endless stream of dangerous content. The barriers that once existed between impressionable viewers and harmful ideals had completely dissolved. Fashion experts point out that this isn't the first time Western beauty standards have oscillated between thin and curvy ideals. Women's bodies have been continuously commodified throughout history, with beauty standards swinging between slim silhouettes in the 20s, 60s, and 90s, and curviness in the late 1800s, 50s, and 2010s. The pattern is predictable, even if the specifics change. The current shift mirrors the 90s backlash against the healthy, vibrant looks of 80s supermodels like Cindy Crawford and Elle Macpherson. Just as heroin chic emerged as a nihilistic vision of beauty then, today's ultra-thin trend represents a reaction against the BBL era's emphasis on enhanced curves. Fashion, it seems, is obsessed with extremes. The middle ground is rarely celebrated. It's always bigger or smaller, curvier or thinner, more or less. There's also a nostalgia factor at play. Gen Z has embraced Y2K fashion, the low-rise jeans, tiny tops, and minimalist aesthetic of the early 2000s. But with that fashion nostalgia comes body nostalgia. The clothes being celebrated were designed for bodies that looked like Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie, not Kim Kardashian. To truly embrace the aesthetic, people feel pressure to adopt the body type that went with it. Nostalgia for an era becomes pressure to embody that era completely. Consequences be damned. The medications themselves carry significant risks beyond the visible side effects. Kate Moss's sister revealed that taking Ozempic was the worst decision she ever made, leading to seizures from dehydration when she used a dosage intended for individuals over 220 pounds. The lack of medical supervision in many cases meant using prescriptions meant for diabetic patients who actually needed them. Mental health experts warn that for those who internalized an emaciated body ideal when size 0 was first popular, its return may unleash old patterns of comparison and self-destruction. The medicalization of thinness through Ozempic has created a false sense of safety around extreme weight loss, masking potentially dangerous behaviors behind medical legitimacy. The economic implications are substantial as well. Plus-size fashion representation has declined dramatically, forcing retailers to reconsider their sizing strategies. The body positivity movement that had pushed brands toward inclusivity was losing ground. The supplement industry exploded with so-called Ozempic alternatives, including Kourtney Kardashian's GLP-1 daily pill, which capitalized on the weight weight loss drug craze despite having no proven efficacy. People desperate for transformation were being sold expensive placebos. What's most troubling about this cycle is its impact on ordinary people who don't have access to expensive procedures, medications, or teams of professionals to manage transformations safely. The average person attempting to follow these trends faces significant financial and health risks. They see celebrities transform, but don't see the medical supervision, the corrective procedures, the private nutritionists, and trainers. They're left trying to replicate results that required resources they'll never have, often destroying their health in the process. Actress Jamila Jamil, a vocal advocate against harmful beauty standards, recently denounced what she calls Ozempic chic. She wrote that she plans on sitting out this cycle, noting that curves will come back, then go away again, then return. She refuses to play with her brain, heart, bone density, or metabolism for a trend. Her message resonates with many, but it's a voice struggling to be heard over the roar of an industry that profits from insecurity and constant transformation. The shift from BBL to skinny represents more than changing fashion. It's a reflection of how easily influenced our society remains by celebrity culture and social media. The speed at which millions of people have pivoted from celebrating curves to promoting extreme thinness reveals the powerful but dangerous influence of celebrity beauty standards. We've watched an entire decade's worth of body ideals collapse and rebuild in barely 3 years. What makes this transformation particularly troubling is that we've simply traded one form of artificial enhancement for another. The BBL era required surgical modification to achieve the ideal. The Ozempic era requires pharmaceutical dependence. Both represent the pursuit of bodies that need intervention to achieve and maintain. Neither celebrates or accepts natural variation in human bodies. We've just changed the method, not the underlying problem. Behind every trend are real people making permanent decisions about their bodies based on temporary cultural moments. The women who got BBLs during the curve craze are now seeking reversals, facing additional surgeries and complications. The people using Ozempic for cosmetic weight loss are discovering metabolic changes that may be permanent, unable to gain weight back, even when they want to. These aren't reversible choices. These are life-altering decisions, driven by what was popular on Instagram. The question isn't whether curves or skinny will ultimately win. The pendulum will keep swinging. Fashion will continue cycling through extremes. The question is whether we can learn to value health and individuality over the endless pursuit of whatever body type happens to be trending. Can we break free from a cycle that demands constant transformation, constant intervention, constant dissatisfaction with our natural selves? Some advocates are trying. Body positivity influencers maintain that the movement has never been about achieving perfection, but about accepting and celebrating the bodies we have. Fashion journalist Victoria Moss predicts that this too shall pass, noting that the broader culture currently positions thinness as a moral health imperative fueled by excitement around GLP-1 medications. But trends always shift eventually. The BBL industry is adapting rather than disappearing, suggesting movement toward moderation rather than elimination. But adaptation isn't the same as progress. Moving from extreme curves to extreme thinness and back again isn't growth. It's just a different manifestation of the same problem. True progress would mean celebrating diverse body types simultaneously, recognizing that health and beauty exist across a spectrum of sizes and shapes. It would mean stopping the commodification of women's bodies as trends to be bought into or discarded. It would mean valuing authenticity over artifice. As we watch this transformation unfold, the most important thing to remember is that Hollywood beauty standards have never been about what's healthy or natural. They're about what sells: products, procedures, magazines, content, clicks. The industry profits from insecurity and aspiration. When everyone's happy with their bodies, nobody's buying solutions. The pendulum keeps swinging because that's what keeps people reaching for the next transformation, the next procedure, the next pharmaceutical miracle. The Hollywood beauty pendulum will keep swinging, driven by profit and powered by influence. But perhaps it's time we stopped trying to swing with it. Perhaps it's time we stepped off the ride entirely and decided that our worth isn't measured by how closely we match whatever temporary ideal is being sold to us this decade. The transformation from BBL to skinny is just the latest chapter in a very old story. The question is whether we'll keep letting that story dictate how we see ourselves or whether we'll finally write a different ending.